The rain fell hard on the black umbrellas. Margot Hayes stood by her husband's grave, watching the wooden box go into the ground. Ernest was gone. After 42 years together, she was alone. People came to say nice things about Ernest. He was a good man, they said. He fixed my bike so many times, others whispered. Margot nodded and smiled, but her heart felt empty. Then her phone buzzed. Margot looked down at the screen. The message made her blood turn cold. I am still alive. Trust no one. Her hands started shaking. The phone almost fell into the mud. This couldn't be real. Ernest was dead. She watched them put him in the ground. But the message came from Ernest's phone number. Mom, are you okay? Her son Charlie grabbed her arm. His grip was tight. Too tight. Margot quickly put her phone away. I'm fine, she lied. But inside, her heart was racing like a scared rabbit. Her other son Harry walked over. Mom looks sick, he said to Charlie. Maybe she needs to rest. The brothers looked at each other in a strange way, like they were sharing a secret. Margot felt scared, but she didn't know why. As people left the cemetery, Margot kept thinking about the message. Who sent it? Why? Was someone playing a mean trick on a sad old lady? That night, alone in her house, Margot sat in Ernest's favorite chair. Everything smelled like him. His tools were still on the kitchen table. His coffee cup sat by the sink. She looked at her phone again. The message was still there, real as the tears on her face. Margot closed her eyes and remembered the day she met Ernest. She was 24 years old, working hard cleaning big houses in Spring Creek. Her hands were always red and sore from scrubbing floors. One sunny morning, she was walking to work when her bike broke. The chain fell off and her hands got all black and greasy trying to fix it. Need some help? A kind voice asked. Margot looked up and saw the most beautiful brown eyes. A young man with dirty work clothes and the gentlest smile stood beside her. I don't have money to pay, Margot said sadly. Did I ask for money? Ernest laughed. His laugh sounded like music. I fix bikes because I love bikes. And because I love helping people. In 10 minutes, Ernest had her bike running like new. His hands moved so fast and sure. Like magic. How can I thank you? Margot asked. Have coffee with me, Ernest said. His face turned red. If you want to. That coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into long walks. Long walks turned into forever love. Ernest worked at Miller's bike shop on Main Street. Every day after cleaning houses, Margot would stop by to see him. Ernest would be covered in grease, fixing someone's broken bike. But he always stopped work to smile at her. You make everything better, Ernest would say. Even my worst days get good when you walk through that door. They were both poor. Margot lived in a tiny room above the bakery. Ernest had a small apartment behind the bike shop. But they were happy. So happy it hurt sometimes. On warm evenings, they would walk by Spring Creek. Ernest would pick flowers for Margot's hair. She would tell him about her dreams of having a real home. A place with a garden and room for children. We'll have that someday, Ernest promised. We'll work hard and save every penny. We'll build something beautiful together. Ernest kept his promise. They saved and saved. Every extra dollar went into a coffee can on the kitchen shelf. They ate simple food, wore old clothes. But they were building their dreams, coin by coin. 2 years later, Ernest asked Margot to marry him. He gave her a ring made from a bike chain. It wasn't gold or silver, but it was perfect. Made by his own hands with all his love. This ring is like us, Ernest said. Strong. Simple. Made to last forever. Their wedding was small. Just a few friends in the little church by the creek. Margot wore her grandmother's white dress. Ernest wore his only good suit. They had no money for a big party, but they had something better. They had love that felt bigger than the whole world. After the wedding, they rented a small house on Elm Street. It had 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and a tiny kitchen. The walls needed paint. The floors creaked. But it was theirs. Ernest kept fixing bikes. Margot kept cleaning houses. Every evening, they would sit on their little porch, holding hands and planning their future. "Someday we'll have children," Margot would say. "2 boys," Ernest would add. "They'll help me in the bike shop. And we'll have a big garden," Margot dreamed out loud. "With flowers everywhere," Ernest agreed. Those were the happiest days of Margot's life. When they were young and poor but rich with hope. When every day brought new possibilities. When Ernest's laugh filled their little house with joy. But now Ernest was gone. And someone was sending scary messages from his phone. Margot looked around her empty house. Tomorrow she would find answers. Tonight, she would remember when love was all they needed. 3 years after their wedding, Margot's belly grew round with their first baby. Ernest would talk to the baby every night before bed. "Hello, little one," he would whisper to Margot's tummy. "Daddy can't wait to meet you." When baby Charlie was born, Ernest cried happy tears. "He's perfect," Ernest said, holding his tiny son. "Look at those little fingers. He's going to be great at fixing things." 2 years later, baby Harry came along. Now their little house was full of laughter, crying, and toys everywhere. Margot stopped cleaning other people's houses to take care of her boys. Ernest worked extra hours at the bike shop to buy diapers and baby food. Money was tight, but love was everywhere. Charlie was the quiet one. He liked to watch Ernest work on bikes. His little hands would try to copy Daddy's movements. "Good job, buddy," Ernest would say. "You're learning fast." Harry was loud and silly. He made everyone laugh with his funny faces and crazy dances. "You're our sunshine," Margot would tell him, kissing his chubby cheeks. The boys grew up in the bike shop. After school, they would sit on stools and watch their father work. Ernest taught them to hold tools and clean bike parts. "Work is important," Ernest told his sons. "But family is more important. Always remember that." When Charlie turned 16, Ernest gave him a job at the bike shop. Charlie was good with his hands, just like his father. Customers liked him because he was polite and careful with their bikes. Harry was different. He was smart in school but didn't like getting his hands dirty. "I want to wear nice clothes," Harry said. "Not work clothes like you and Charlie." Ernest felt worried, but he smiled. "That's okay, son. You can be anything you want. Just be good to people." The years passed quickly. Charlie finished high school and worked full-time with Ernest. Harry went to college in the big city. He studied business and wore fancy suits. When Harry came home for visits, he looked at their simple house with sad eyes. "This place is so small," he would say. "Don't you want something better?" "We have everything we need," Margot would answer. But Harry would shake his head. Charlie changed too. He started talking about money all the time. "Dad, we could make more money if we fixed cars instead of bikes," he would say. "I like bikes," Ernest would answer. "They make people happy." "Happy doesn't pay the bills," Charlie would say back. One day, Harry brought his girlfriend to dinner. She wore expensive clothes and looked around their house like it smelled bad. "Mom, your furniture is so old," Harry said. "You should buy new things." "These things have memories," Margot said. "Your father made this table with his own hands." The girlfriend laughed. "Handmade furniture is so cute." After they left, Ernest sat quietly on the porch. "Something's wrong," he told Margot. "Money has changed our boys." Margot wanted to argue, but deep down, she knew Ernest was right. Their sons were different now. They visited less and less. When they did come, they talked about money and things, not love and family. Charlie started bringing papers for Ernest to sign. "It's just business stuff, Dad," he would say. "Trust me." Ernest would read the papers carefully. I don't understand all these big words, he would tell Margot later. But Charlie says it will help us save money. Harry started talking about moving his parents to a nice apartment. He showed them pictures of places with white walls and no gardens. You could sell this old house, Harry said. Make good money. Live somewhere modern. This is our home, Margot said firmly. We're not leaving. Harry and Charlie looked at each other in that strange way again, like they were sharing secrets. The visits became strange and uncomfortable. The boys would whisper in corners. They asked lots of questions about Ernest's insurance from work. They wanted to know about the house papers and bank accounts. Why do they need to know these things? Margot asked Ernest. I don't know, Ernest said sadly. But I don't like it. One evening, Ernest came home from work looking scared. Something happened today, he told Margot. Charlie was looking through my desk at the shop. When I asked him why, he got angry. What did he say? He said I'm getting old and forgetting things. He said he's just trying to help. Ernest sat down heavily. But I'm not forgetting anything. My mind is fine. The next week, Harry visited alone. He had more papers. Mom needs to sign these too, he said. It's about medical stuff. In case you get sick. I feel fine, Margot said. But you're getting older, Mom. What if something happens to you? What if your mind starts going bad? These papers will help Charlie and me take care of you. Margot didn't like the sound of that, but Harry kept pushing. Don't you trust us, Mom? We're your sons. We love you. That night, Margot told Ernest about the papers. I didn't sign them, she said. Something felt wrong. Ernest nodded. Good. Don't sign anything without me reading it first. But Ernest was changing too. He seemed tired all the time. He would forget small things, like where he put his keys. Sometimes he felt dizzy at work. Maybe I should see a doctor, Ernest said. Yes, Margot agreed. Let's make an appointment. But before they could go to the doctor, Ernest had his accident. He was working alone at the shop one evening. Charlie had gone home early, saying he didn't feel well. Ernest was fixing a bike when something went wrong. Very wrong. Mrs. Peterson from next door found him on the floor the next morning. Ernest was unconscious and breathing strangely. The ambulance came fast, but it was too late. Heart attack, the doctor said. Very sudden. Sometimes it happens to men his age. But Margot knew Ernest's heart was strong. He walked everywhere. He ate good food. He had just seen the doctor 6 months ago, and everything was fine. Charlie and Harry came to the hospital quickly. Too quickly, Margot thought later. How did they know so fast? Don't worry, Mom, Charlie said. We'll take care of everything. The funeral, the insurance, all the business stuff, Harry added. You just rest. The brothers handled everything. They talked to the insurance company. They picked the funeral home. They even chose Ernest's clothes for the burial. Shouldn't I do these things? Margot asked. You're too upset, Mom, Harry said. Let us help you. But it didn't feel like help. It felt like they were pushing her away from her own husband's death. The night before the funeral, Margot couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Ernest's accident. Why was he alone at the shop? Charlie never left work early. Never. And the insurance papers. Ernest had been worried about those papers. Now Charlie and Harry were handling the insurance money. Margot felt sick to her stomach. But she couldn't believe what her mind was thinking. Her own sons wouldn't hurt their father. Would they? The next morning at the funeral, everything felt wrong. Charlie and Harry stood too close to her. They watched everyone who came to say goodbye. They whispered to each other during the prayers. And then came the message that changed everything. I am still alive. Trust no one. Now Margot knew her feelings were right. Something terrible had happened to Ernest. And somehow, Her own sons were part of it. The day after the funeral, Charlie and Harry came to the house early. They had big smiles, but their eyes looked cold. "Mom, we need to talk about money," Charlie said, sitting at the kitchen table like he owned the place. "The insurance company called," Harry added. "Dad had a big life insurance policy. You're going to be rich, Mom." Margot felt confused. "Ernest never told me about a big insurance policy." The brothers looked at each other again. That look that made Margot's stomach hurt. "Dad probably forgot to tell you," Charlie said. "His memory wasn't so good lately." "His memory was perfect," Margot said firmly. "Ernest remembered everything." Harry pulled out more papers. "These are from the insurance company. You need to sign them to get the money." Margot looked at the papers. The words were big and confusing. "I want to read these carefully first." "Mom, don't you trust us?" Charlie asked. His voice sounded sweet, but his face looked angry. "I need time to think," Margot said. "Please leave now." After her sons left, Margot felt scared and alone. The house was too quiet. She decided to go to Ernest's bike shop. Maybe being there would help her understand what happened. The shop smelled like oil and old metal. Ernest's tools were still scattered on the workbench. His coffee cup sat next to a half-fixed bike. Margot touched his favorite hammer. "Oh, Ernest," she whispered. "I miss you so much." She started cleaning up, wanting to keep Ernest's things safe. When she moved a pile of bike parts, she found something strange. A piece of paper was taped under the workbench. The paper was folded small and written in Ernest's shaky handwriting. "Margot, if something happens to me, don't trust Charlie and Harry. They want our money and our house. I heard them talking. They think I don't understand, but I do. The insurance papers I signed were different from what Charlie told me. I'm scared. Hide this note. Love you forever. Ernest." Margot's hands shook so hard she almost dropped the note. Ernest knew. He knew their sons were planning something terrible. She looked at the date on the note. Ernest wrote it just 3 days before he died. Suddenly, the shop door opened. Charlie walked in. "Mom, what are you doing here?" His eyes looked at the note in her hands. "What's that paper?" Margot quickly put the note in her pocket. "Just old bills," she lied. Charlie stepped closer. "You look upset. Maybe you should go home and rest." "I'm fine," Margot said, but she felt very scared. "Let me drive you home," Charlie said. It didn't sound like a question. All the way home, Charlie talked about the insurance money and selling the house. "You could move somewhere nice, Mom. Somewhere with people to take care of you." "I can take care of myself," Margot said. Charlie laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. "Mom, you're getting old. Your memory isn't good anymore. Yesterday you couldn't remember where you put your glasses." "My glasses were on my head," Margot said. "That's normal." "Is it?" Charlie asked. "Or are you starting to forget things, just like Dad did?" That night, Margot read Ernest's note over and over. She had to find out what really happened to her husband. But who could she trust? She remembered Detective Sam Rodriguez. He had been nice at the funeral. He said if she ever needed help, she should call him. The next morning, Margot called the police station. "Detective Rodriguez? This is Margot Hayes, Ernest's wife. Could we meet somewhere private? I need to tell you something important." They met at the diner on the other side of town. Detective Rodriguez was younger than Margot expected, with kind eyes and a gentle voice. "What can I help you with, Mrs. Hayes?" Margot showed him Ernest's note and told him about the mysterious message from Ernest's phone. She told him about her son's strange behavior and all the insurance papers. Detective Rodriguez read the note carefully. "This is very serious," he said. "Tell me more about your husband's death." The doctor said it was a heart attack. But Ernest was healthy. And he was alone at the shop, which never happened. Charlie always stayed until closing time, but that day he left early. Did your husband eat or drink anything unusual that day? He always brought coffee from home in his thermos. But Margot stopped talking. She remembered something important. What is it? Detective Rodriguez asked. Charlie brought Ernest coffee that morning. From the new coffee shop downtown. He said it was a special treat. Margot felt sick. Ernest said it tasted strange, but Charlie told him it was just a fancy blend. Detective Rodriguez wrote everything down. Mrs. Hayes, I need to ask you something difficult. Do you think your sons might have hurt your husband? Margot started crying. I don't want to believe it. They're my babies. But yes, I think they did something terrible. We need proof, Detective Rodriguez said. Would you be willing to help us get that proof? How? We could put a small recording device in your house. When your sons visit, maybe they'll say something that proves what they did. Margot felt scared, but she knew she had to be brave for Ernest. Yes, I'll do it. Detective Rodriguez set up tiny microphones in the kitchen and living room. Just act normal, he said. Don't ask them about your husband's death. Let them talk. The next day, Harry and Charlie came over together. They had more papers and bigger smiles. Good news, Mom, Harry said. The insurance money is ready. Almost $2 million. $2 million? Margot tried not to look surprised. Ernest had never mentioned that much money. And we found a buyer for the house, Charlie added. They'll pay cash. You could move to that nice apartment next week. I don't want to move, Margot said. Mom, you don't have a choice, Harry said. His voice wasn't sweet anymore. We're worried about your mental health. If you can't make good decisions, we might have to get a judge involved. What does that mean? Margot asked. It means we could have you declared mentally incompetent, Charlie explained. Then we would control your money and make all your decisions for you. Margot felt terrified. You would do that to your own mother? Only if we have to, Harry said. Like we had to help Dad. Charlie kicked Harry under the table. Shut up, he whispered. But Harry kept talking. Mom, Dad was getting suspicious about the insurance papers. He was asking too many questions. We had to stop him before he ruined everything. Harry! Charlie yelled. Stop talking. She's going to find out anyway, Harry said. Besides, who would believe a crazy old lady? What did you do to your father? Margot asked, her voice shaking. Charlie stood up. Nothing, Mom. Harry doesn't know what he's saying. But Harry laughed. That special coffee worked perfectly. Dad never knew what hit him. You poisoned him? Margot screamed. It was easy, Harry said. A little methanol in his coffee. Looks like a heart attack. No one suspects anything. Charlie grabbed Harry's arm. We're leaving. Now. After they left, Margot sat in her kitchen crying. Her own sons had murdered their father for money. The babies she raised, the boys who used to help fix bikes, had become killers. Detective Rodriguez came over that evening. He had heard everything through the microphones. We have enough evidence now, he said gently. Tomorrow, we'll arrest Charlie and Harry for murder. Will they go to prison? Margot asked. Yes. For a very long time. Margot felt sad and relieved at the same time. Ernest would finally have justice. But she would lose her sons forever. Mrs. Hayes, Detective Rodriguez said softly. You're very brave. Ernest would be proud of you. That night, Margot looked at her phone one more time. The message was still there. I am still alive. Trust no one. Now she understood. Ernest's love was still alive. His warning had saved her from her own sons. Somehow, even in death, Ernest was still protecting her. Like this story if it gave you chills. share it with someone who loves mysteries, and subscribe for more incredible true stories that will keep you awake at night. The next morning, police cars came to Charlie and Harry's houses. Margot watched from her window as her sons were led away in handcuffs. Charlie screamed at the police. "This is crazy. We didn't do anything." But Harry just looked sad and tired. "I'm sorry, Mom," he called out as they put him in the police car. Detective Rodriguez came to see Margot. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. "No," Margot said honestly. "But I will be." The weeks before the trial were hard. Margot felt lonely in her quiet house. Sometimes she forgot Ernest was gone and would make coffee for two people. Then she would remember and cry again. But Detective Rodriguez visited often. "Please call me Sam," he said. "We're friends now." Sam helped Margot understand the legal papers. He explained what would happen in court. He brought her soup when she felt too sad to cook. "You don't have to do this alone," Sam told her. "Ernest would want people to help you." The trial started on a cold Monday morning. Margot had to sit in the big courtroom and look at Charlie and Harry. They wore orange jail clothes and wouldn't look at her. The prosecutor was a smart lady named Ms. Chen. She played the recording of Harry confessing to the murder. The whole courtroom could hear his voice saying, "That special coffee worked perfectly. Dad never knew what hit him." Charlie's lawyer tried to say Harry was lying. But then Ms. Chen showed pictures from the store security cameras. There was Charlie buying methanol from the hardware store 3 days before Ernest died. Why would someone buy industrial poison unless they planned to use it? Ms. Chen asked the jury. Harry's lawyer said Harry was just following his big brother. "Charlie made all the plans," the lawyer said. "Harry was just scared to say no." But Ms. Chen had more proof. She showed the fake insurance papers Charlie had made. She proved how the brothers had changed Ernest's life insurance from $50,000 to $2 million. "This was not a crime of passion," Ms. Chen told the jury. "This was a carefully planned murder for money. These men killed their own father and tried to steal everything from their mother." The most important witness was Dr. Williams from the hospital. He explained how methanol poison works. "The victim feels dizzy and sick," Dr. Williams said. "Then their heart stops. It looks exactly like a natural heart attack. It's the perfect murder weapon. Unless someone knows what to look for," Ms. Chen added. Dr. Williams nodded. "We did a special test on Mr. Hayes' blood after the police asked us to. The methanol was still there." When it was time for Margot to speak, she felt scared. But she thought about Ernest and found her courage. "Charlie and Harry were good boys once," she told the jury. "I loved them with all my heart. But money changed them. They forgot that family is more important than anything else in the world." She showed Ernest's hidden note to the jury. "My husband knew they were planning to hurt him. But he still loved them." Even at the end, Ernest hoped they would remember how to be good. Margot started crying, but she kept talking. "Ernest worked hard his whole life. He never hurt anyone. He just wanted to fix bikes and make people happy. He didn't deserve to die like this." The jury listened carefully. Some of them were crying too. Charlie's lawyer made one last try. "These boys lost their father too," he said. "Don't take away their whole lives." But Ms. Chen stood up. "They chose to take their father's life. They planned it. They did it. And they would have done the same thing to their mother when they got tired of waiting for her money." The jury was gone for 2 hours. When they came back, the judge asked, "Have you reached a verdict?" "We have, Your Honor," the jury leader said. "We find Charlie Hayes guilty of murder in the first degree. We find Harry Hayes guilty of murder in the second degree and conspiracy." Charlie screamed and threw his chair. "This is wrong. She's just a stupid old lady." But Harry just put his head down and cried. The judge was very serious. "Charlie Hayes, you are sentenced to life in prison without parole. Harry Hayes, you are sentenced to 30 years in prison." Margot felt relieved but also very sad. Justice for Ernest, but her sons were gone forever. 3 months later, Sam came to see Margot with terrible news. "Charlie killed himself in prison last night," he said softly. Margot sat down hard. Even after everything Charlie had done, he was still her baby boy. "And Harry had a mental breakdown," Sam added. "He's in the prison hospital now. He keeps saying he's sorry and that he wants his daddy." Margot cried for her lost sons. They had chosen money over love, and it destroyed them. But life went on. With the insurance money, Margot could have bought a mansion. Instead, she did something that made Ernest smile in heaven. She turned Ernest's old bike shop into the most beautiful flower garden in town. Roses and sunflowers grew where bikes used to be fixed. A little fountain bubbled where Ernest's workbench used to sit. On the gate, Margot put a sign, "Ernest's Garden, where love lives forever." People came from all over to see the beautiful flowers. Children played on the little paths between the flower beds. Young couples had their wedding pictures taken under the rose arbor. Sam helped Margot plant the first flowers. "Ernest would love this," he said. "I know," Margot smiled. "He always said flowers make people happy." As the months passed, Sam visited more and more often. He brought Margot flowers from his own garden. They would sit on the little bench in Ernest's garden and talk about everything. "You saved my life," Margot told Sam one evening. "Not just from Charlie and Harry. You saved me from being alone forever." "You saved yourself," Sam said. "You were brave enough to find the truth." 1 year after Ernest's death, Margot got a surprise. A young couple came to her door. "Are you Mrs. Hayes?" the woman asked. "We heard about your husband's story. We want you to know, we named our baby boy Ernest, after your husband." The woman held up a tiny baby with the biggest brown eyes. "Our Ernest will know about your Ernest. How he was good and kind and made people happy." Margot held baby Ernest and felt her heart fill up with joy. "Your Ernest will be wonderful," she told the young parents. "Love makes everything possible." That night, Margot sat in her garden as the sun went down. The flowers smelled sweet in the evening air. Somewhere, she could almost hear Ernest's laugh on the wind. She thought about the message that changed everything. "I am still alive. Trust no one." Margot never found out who really sent that message. Maybe it was someone who knew the truth about Charlie and Harry. Maybe it was just a cruel joke. Or maybe, somehow, Ernest's love was so strong it reached across death to save her. It didn't matter now. What mattered was that truth had won over lies. Love had won over greed. And justice had won over evil. Margot looked at her phone one more time. The mysterious message was still there. But now she understood what it really meant. Ernest was still alive. In every flower that bloomed in his garden. In every bike that still rolled down the street. In every act of kindness between strangers. In every moment when love conquered fear. Ernest's love would never die. And neither would the lesson of their story. Money cannot buy happiness. Fame cannot buy peace. But love, true, honest, faithful love, lasts forever. Even when everything seems lost, love finds a way to win. Did this story give you chills? Like this post and share it with someone who needs to hear this powerful message about love conquering evil. Subscribe for more incredible true stories that will touch your heart and remind you what really matters in life. What would you do if you received a mysterious message like Margot did? Tell us in the comments below.